So hello, I'm here with Angel. Welcome to 31 YouTubes in 31 days. I'm Gary Campbell. And tell us about that quote you posted today about these women. We're going to start here because...
Oh, okay. So, well, a lot of times on my timeline I see women talking about, oh, I'm playing with my emotions or this and that or how bad they want to be in a relationship. And the bottom line is when you look for happiness outside of yourself, you're never going to find it. You have to be happy in here, good with you, in order to be happy with someone else. Somebody else isn't supposed to be your source of happiness. They're just someone to be happy with. Not like, if I don't have a man, then life isn't good. You know, oh my God, my life is kind of good, but it could be. It's not to say also that you shouldn't feel like, you know, being in a relationship is awesome.
Right.
It's just icing on the cake. The way I like to put it is, I say some people think that a relationship is their cake. You know, as compared to it being the icing on the cake. So your family, your friends, the life that you're living, that's your cake. That's what makes up your cake and who you are and the joy and the happiness you should feel in life. And then the relationship is the icing on top of that. But even without the icing, you should still have an amazing cake, like the best tasting cake in the world that doesn't even need icing, but icing could just only make it better.
A great pound cake. Go, Angel.
Like a good little
was that a
cake.
good start? You see? She hasn't even started talking about art, her art.
I actually have a 7 in reference to cake. I have a 7, a poem that I wrote, a 7.
Oh,
yeah, in reference to cake, but in relationship-wise.
So tell us about what you do. I know you told me about your work, but tell me more about. I like you I've seen you as a poet or a spoken word. I don't know what they call. What do you call it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a poet. I write poems, but I'm a spoken word artist as well because I perform my poetry. So it's a step further from just. It would be different from like a writer as compared to maybe somebody who's going to be a writer / actor / producer. So you got to add more into. Yes, I'm a poet. I'm also a spoken word artist. I'm an actress, first and foremost. I'm also a comedian. Kind of funny. I've got a YouTube video.
Put on those hats.
Check it out. Angel Cruz. Well, he'll have my name in here. But I've got a few.
Her memory is phenomenal. Yo, she has these pieces. Absolutely phenomenal. So tell me how you started. Like, doing this. When did you know you were that? I like to call it the weirdo. Alien, that you were different.
Oh, when did I realize I was different? Maybe definitely elementary school, but not even different I guess I didn't see myself as different. I just was like, you know, I'm me, and that's awesome. Like, I'm me and they're them, and we don't really have to agree on what we think is cool or not. You know, like I had friends who wanted to like get a little grown early on out and wear makeup and stuff like that, and I was like, I know eventually it'll come at some point. I'll feel the need to, but not when I'm 14 or, you know, they would lie about their age. I've always been like a take me or leave me kind of person, so it's like if you didn't like me for the 13-year-old that I was, and that was fine, you can keep it moving. I'll probably find someone who does like me for the 13-year-old that I am, or another 13-year-old, or not. I've kind of always been that way, I guess. So I didn't necessarily think of it as different, but I knew it wasn't the same, and I was glad to not be the same.
Any new projects or new ideas?
Well, I'm trying to get more into my comedy. It's something I really need to. I've been funny all my life. It's just something like I just see in comedy. Some people see like in photography, right? They see in art. I have a friend, she sees in poems. Like when she sees something, poems pop up in her head. When I see an image or situation, comedy comes to mind. So it's kind of something that it just is not ever anything I've ever had to work at. It's just been who I am. But since I want it to be a career, I have to work at it. I have to be open and vulnerable to people believing that I'm not funny and you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's going to think anything is 100%. But, you know, my poetry is something that is newer to me, I would say. I started writing in 2008, and that makes me feel like a newbie, even though some of my poems don't necessarily seem like it, but it's just because I love reading, so I got lucky. I'm like a huge reader.
Right, you told me before, you read books almost like you eat your food or something like that? I mean,
kind of like I can finish, for instance, The Hunger Games, which isn't necessarily normally my genre, but one of my friends wanted to read the first books before the movie came out, and I got hooked. It was really good, so I read all 3 of the books in like 8 days. all three of them, and each of them were like over. And that was me kind of taking my time. To kind of go in. No. But so since I had such a love, a passion for reading, I wound up becoming inherently a good writer. So I was blessed in that manner.
Yeah, I have to say, when you read, the more you read and write, I mean, people say it over and over again, but the more you read and write, I don't know, it almost like stamps words in your psyches.
Absolutely.
Stamps this kind of rhythm of word and language into your own, intertwined with your own experiences and what you've gone through, and then how you see the world, and it just comes out. But there's an easier flow, I think, because you read, when you read so much and when you write consistently.
Yeah, you adapt to things, or things get added into your normal conversation and things that you would normally say just because this is what you've been reading. You read a book and maybe a word comes up that I don't know. So especially with technology these days, my Kindle, I just press and hold on it. It'll tell me what the word is. Now I've learned a new word. Boom, I continue reading, and before you know it, me and a friend are talking and I end up using that word. I remember one time I did that like in a text, and one of my friends was like, really? Really, that's the word you chose? I was like, it was the one that came to mind. Like, I didn't even, it's not like I searched for one. It was just the first word that popped into my mind. But I had been reading so many different types of books that I knew exactly probably which book I had gotten the word from.
You was talking to me about, what was that you talking about? How you got an idea. You got a poem. Remember when we were talking, you told me you got an idea, and it was like really peculiar way how you got that poem. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I think I was talking to you about the first erotic piece that I wrote.
This is you two. Come on now. Stop. Don't even try it.
But no,
you got that purple on? Exotic is all right.
Exactly. But it was the first erotic piece.
Did they see the tattoo?
Oh, this is my mandala.
There you go. Oh.
This is, this doesn't mean anything. It just matched similar to this. And this is my tattoo from my best friend, Tia, and she passed away. So it's sister in Arabic. But yeah, I've got like 9 tats in total. I'm doing a sleeve on this arm, so soon to be covered. But so my first erotic piece, I said it came from when I was reading a book. I had just finished reading a sex scene, but I don't really read like romance novels. But regardless to what type of book it is, 9 times out of 10 there's at least one sex scene in the book that I read. So after it, I was like kind of laughing to myself because the girl didn't want to be seduced by the guy. She had like told herself that she wouldn't allow him and his like fineness and sexiness to like get up in her head. She was like, no, I'm not gonna have sex with him. And she did, of course, because she couldn't help it. But I laughed, and right before going to sleep I thought in my head, like, you know, she chastised her follicles of hair from rising at his touch.
Yeah, that's it.
And I was like, I'm gonna write a poem. And then I wrote majority of the poem that night before I even went to sleep, and then the rest of it at work the next day when I worked at the bank. I was a teller, I had plenty of time on my hands.
Do you do a lot of your work like in the overnight, midnight to 6? Like, I mean, do you wake up with ideas, or do you just do them? You just make time and you do your work.
I would say they kind of come to me at will. So if, let's say,
at
something.
Whose will? At your will?
No, at the universe's will. Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
So I'm going on about my business, and something will either strike me or maybe I see something. But if it hits me, I start writing immediately. I don't like wait. I just start going. If I have to stop at some point, then yeah. But then, you know, I go back, but I need to at least get that initial kind of.
Yeah. And how are people impacted by your art, your poems? Like, how do people respond to it?
Well, I mean, you know what's funny is for a few years I was tough on myself with my art because I felt like all the friends that I had and everybody that I knew had been writing all of their life. Like, everybody's been writing poems and poetry since they were 14, and I didn't start until like 24 or something like that. Crazy. So it's like, well, you know, am I really a poet? Like, for a while I wouldn't even call myself a poet. And so then I definitely, even when people would compliment me or say things, I thought they were just being nice. So it wasn't until probably about 2 years ago that I finally started realizing that, you know, my words do have impact and impressions on people, and it's a humbling experience, and it's kind of, you know, you're almost in awe of yourself, like of whatever. It's just like, what? That me?
Yes, you.
I did that. You.
Yes, you did that.
It's
yes,
weird, you know, like you're not just being nice because you don't even know me. So you actually just really liked what I wrote. Wow. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like I hope that I know that I can be kind of mesmerizing. That's what I've been told. This is not me trying to like toot my own horn, but like
I agree with that.
It's the presence that I bring, I guess, and then
it's your energy,
my voice. Yeah. So like. My friends have been like, oh, everybody, like, all eyes. Like, everybody just stops, and now it's time to listen. But when I'm spitting, I feel like, you know, people are paying attention, but there's other people doing their own thing a bit, even though they still might be hearing my words.
They're doing the thing.
I'm not saying, like, it's not like time freezes and they stop and they're like, I've got to, you know. There's still, you know, people are still doing their own thing. There are people paying attention, of course. And even the people who don't necessarily look dead at you, because some people... I've got friends who need to sit with their eyes closed and hear what's going on to fit, you know, to hear and actually feel what you're actually saying. They can't necessarily look at you, especially if you're moving around for whatever reason. It'll interfere the visual and the audio, I guess. Yeah. So even though they might not be looking at me, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes people
are wired differently.
But I do appreciate when people feel my stuff. You know, I write from the heart. I'm not a ghostwriter or something. I don't have a ghostwriter, I should say. I feel it, and then I write what comes.
So, what could you share with the community that will help the community become stronger and bond? What should we be doing? What don't we do in your short period as a poetress? Are you considered a poet or poetress? You're a poetress, right?
I didn't really know they had... People are that's one of the bigger issues. Everybody wants to kind of, well, I get it. Everybody wants to define themselves kind of separately. But at the same time, a poet is a poet. So what poet is male?
No.
And then poetress would be?
Scratch that, cut it.
I'm just saying.
She's a poet.
You know?
She's a poet.
I'm an actor. Like, we used to be actors and actresses, and then they cut it and said, acting is the form. So an actor is what an actor does, the art of acting. Doesn't matter what race. It doesn't matter what gender you are. If you're acting, you're an actor. Why?
Race too.
Yeah, well, definitely. Regardless, it doesn't matter. But I think in reference to the community, I think one of the biggest issues is how much we want to divide ourselves, right? So you've got.
Should I give you the whole camera for this part?
What? No.
I'm
just saying, like, I feel like we find every way, shape, and form to separate and divide ourselves. So, you know, you can be a part of a Pan-African organization, but then they're going to look funny at the homosexual community, who's then going to look funny at the non-Pan-African, maybe the hip-hop culture. It's like, as compared to realizing we're all brown-skinned people. You know, an injustice to one of us is an injustice everywhere. Not, well, let's get black rights going, but who cares about gay rights? Or let's get Black American rights going, but who cares about Africans, or who cares about the Indians, or who cares about the Asian community? No, if anybody's having an injustice, it's going to affect all of us. It can't be like justice for some. It needs to be justice for all. Right. And it starts with building and realizing we're all one. But especially within the Black community, because I really feel like in a lot of the other communities, it's not such a big divide in the sense of like, oh, well, you know, we're like we're light-skinned Asians, and we don't fuck with the darker-skinned Asians. Like, no, it's what? Oh, you're too tan, so let's have this beef. Let's light-skinned, dark-skinned beef. Let's all of that. When in actuality, they're killing all of us regardless of our complexions. They could care less whether you are almost as white as them, but they know you're black, or darker than, you know, a black bag. They're shooting and ripping and murdering us all over, regardless, without regard. And we're too busy trying to fight over whether you love the same sex, or you don't want to put this flag up, or, oh, you can't celebrate this and be happy about this, but then still mourn or be upset or angry about injustices, right? You're not allowed to celebrate your birthday because somebody, you know, they're killing black people, so you're supposed to just be angry and upset all the time. That's not at all.
In March,
exactly. Like, and if you're not doing any of that, then you don't care about the community. Don't celebrate anything. Just be sad and angry, and make sure you segregate and divide people and tell people you're not black enough, or you're not this enough, you're not gay enough. Why can't it? It's always you're not something enough, as compared to realizing like none of that even matters. It doesn't even matter at the end of the day.
We all need the basics, right?
That's all that really matters. Right. We all have beating hearts. You cut any of our skins, the blue blood turns red. Regardless, stop letting them and you divide us. Because divided, you divide and conquer. That's literally the phrase. You divide and conquer, and that's what you're allowing to happen. The division, because they can't conquer us together, which is why they first decided to divide us in the first place, because they knew we were too powerful together, and that's what we got to go back to.
And you're also talking about on the poetry open mic level too.
Even that, exactly. Because even within this poetry community, there's so much where people will come to an event to support only if it's free. But if you start charging, now all of a sudden nobody's around, nobody has any money. And it doesn't even matter, $5, $10, when you can know about this thing going forever. And you spend $5 and $10 in less than 20 minutes at either McDonald's, Wendy's, Quick Check. Getting some Black and Milds, a pack of cigarettes is $13, probably $14. I don't even know what they charging these days. You've got money for all of that, but you can't come and support, or you can only come to the free event and stay for a bit. You're not going to spit. You're not going to recite anything. You're not there to build off of anybody. You're there so that way you can go back and talk to somebody else about how the show went or what you felt negatively about the show. Like, I feel like back in the day, when I first started coming into the poetry community, there was more love. You know, everybody was coming to everybody's event, and everybody was pushing their event, but everybody was coming to each other's events, whether it cost money or not, because...
There's love there.
Yeah, because we loved it. We wanted to see these people. We wanted to see them perform. We wanted to support them and continue to see them thrive and do better. It's not about, I want to have a come-up, so either you help me make my come-up, or F you. Not let's help each other. Let's build each other up.
Another time.
3 times.
You're on a roll. Oh, you see? I told y'all.
It's hot out here today. That's why I had to bring the heat.
It ain't.
It ain't me. It's
if it was cold out here, it would be the same result. That's great. Oh man, you know, and the artists, people who listen to this, they're going to like really enjoy that because that's from the heart and it's authentic. And a lot of times we can be in these communities and don't have people that will open up their mouth and say what needs to be said.
Yeah, well. And that's in life, definitely, but like in life, there's not enough people who are willing to open up their mouth and say whatever and say that, listen, this is how I feel. You can think and have an opinion about it however you'd like, and that's fine. You're entitled to that, the same way I'm entitled to mine. But these are my opinions, my feelings, my passion.
But they're right on. They're right on. I appreciate that. Anything else for the people? You hit them upside the head. Thank you so much.
Just love peace, y'all. Love peace. Happiness. Positivity.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.